What's up? Welcome to the podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, welcome. I am going to have a little bit of a different episode this week. It's still going to be magical, but I'm really going to talk about how my half marathon went over the weekend. And if you're watching this, I decided I was like, I'm gonna nerd out and put on my little 3/4 zip that I got for the race. The color, I don't know, it's okay. It's growing on me. It's like a salmon, kind of orangey color. So I would have preferred a dark color, but that's just me. But no, it's kind of fun to have fun things. And like these are perfect for runs. So half marathon, I finished it. And if you were not really interested in running, I still think this episode will be interesting for you because I think it's such a good metaphor for life, like the race that I ran and life itself, because I don't know, it's just amazing what you put your mind to and what you decide that you're going to do, you're going to accomplish. You can actually freaking do that. Like, if you put your mind to something, I know you are going to do it or, something better. So let's back up and talk about my training a little bit. And then I'm just honestly going to go through race day because one, I think this is going to be very helpful for me in the future. Two, could be helpful for other people who want to do a half marathon or, maybe it's not in your wheelhouse now, or you do for 5Ks or 10Ks. Maybe it wouldn't have to be like as in depth, but I was frantically searching for podcasts on like what I should eat before race day or like how I should, what I should do on race day and things like that. And the podcasts that I found weren't, no offense, they weren't, I don't know, they weren't what like I was looking for. They were talking about all this other shit too. And I was like, no, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to talk about gear and all that because honestly, you don't have to get too crazy and you don't have to be like a rock star runner or athlete to run in one of these races. If I can do it, you can do it. And there were 600 women that did the half marathon yesterday, which I was like, dang, that is so cool. So, yeah, or when I was recording this. So, yeah, I'm recording it the week that this is coming out because it's just fresh on my mind. And I was like, oh, what a perfect thing to just put out there this week. So, training. Let's talk about training because honestly, my training, when did I actually sign up? I don't think I actually signed up and like fully committed until maybe February of this year. So, this particular race is the Des Moines Women's Half Marathon. And I think I've talked about this before, but the first time I signed up and wanted to do it, I signed up in the end of 2019 because I was so excited. Coworker had told me about it and I was like, oh my gosh, that would be a cool thing to do because I never would consider myself a runner, but that was a lot of the exercise that I did, I don't know, like in my early 20s. And this is embarrassing, but you guys, and granted, I also I was so little after college. It was like I weighed like 135 or 140, which I don't think I would ever want to weigh that now because it was just like, I don't know, so tiny. But I would run and be like, okay, if I run 10 more minutes or another mile, I can have extra beers tonight. So yeah, beer was my motivation back then. And then, yeah, 2019, I signed up for my very first half marathon. And then, it was supposed to be May of 2020, which I mean, it was May of 2020, but it became virtual. So it really wasn't it wasn't as fun with all the race day itself is just so exciting with all the people and They have, they have water along the way, and there was one station with snacks and a couple stations with like Powerade or Gatorade or whatever it was. And just the people along the way cheering you on also is really helpful. So 2020, I knew I was doing it. So I honestly don't remember my training much, but I know I never ran like more than 6 or 7 miles for my training, which obviously, if you look at like a half marathon training online, it'll be like, okay, you should probably be running, not necessarily 13, but maybe like 10 or 11 before the race, just so you can get used to it and to prevent injury, which I totally get. And I'm going to touch on what I would do differently next time after I talk about what I did this time. But 2020 half, I ended up texting my cousin who I ran with yesterday as well. And I was like, hey, do you want to run with me? Because we ran from my small town to another bigger town and like all the way through. And it was 13 miles, which was crazy, like along the same road. So I'm just looking over there. I've got a medal from that one. And then no idea what my time was. That is the thing. We can't, so it was virtual. So it's not like we had a bib or anything to track our time, and my watch died, and I don't know if my phone died and like we can't find, and I don't know what like running app I was using at the time. I honestly think I was using Nike Run or something. I don't know. Anyways, the time is lost. We don't know. Honestly, I would assume it was probably between 2.5, definitely between 2.5 and 3 hours for sure. For sure. So, especially because I think I trained a little bit probably then than now. And then in 2022, I was like, okay, I don't want to do a half, but I'll definitely do the 10K because my daughter was about a year old. And I hadn't been running that much, but I wanted to do the race and get back into it. So I did that. And my time, okay, I know the times because I was looking at this last night, but my time for that 10K was 1 hour and 20 minutes, which I don't think is terrible. Which is, but that's really funny. Woman who got first place yesterday, or in the Des Moines half, we'll stop saying yesterday, the Des Moines half in 2025, she ran the 13.1 miles in 1 hour and 21 minutes, and that was my 10K time in 2022, which is crazy. Kudos. See, I just never want to be that level of runner. Like, I am not like trying to run 6 minute miles, and that's fine. But like, I think it's incredible. Like, these times and this lady, she was, I think, in her later 30s. The top two finishers were in their later 30s and 40s. And I was like, hell yes, that is awesome. That honestly made me so happy. And I looked at my husband, I was like, oh, there's hope for me. And then I was like, LOL, JK, I'm not running a 6 minute mile. It's not like in my wheelhouse. I know my limits, but who knows? I don't know. It could always change. Anyways, fast forward to this year. Like I said, I don't think I actually committed. So my sister-in-law talked about doing it again. She had run a different half marathon, and I had told her about this one, and I was like, I really like the vibes. It's like mostly all women, and well, yeah, like 95% of the participants are all women. And it's just like a fun atmosphere. And the race itself is not too hilly. Couple couple of hills. There's like one at the beginning and one at the end, and I was like, oh. But so she signed up, and then I'm not gonna lie, I told her I was gonna do it, and then I didn't actually sign up for like 3 weeks. Because it was like, do I want to do this? I was like, oh gosh, I'm scared. And then I go, no, like this is a great challenge for me to have right now. Not that I mean, I do have tons of other things going on in my life, but it's just like it was a challenge, like just for me, and it was like a physical challenge, and I really liked that because I've always enjoyed like athletics and exercising and things like that. So I was like, okay, let's do this. And so I started my training. So basically, yes, I did have like all of March and all of April to train. And looking back at what I've been doing, I did run a lot in April compared to March, and I now have it. So shout out to Garmin. But this is my venue too, and I've had it for ever. I have a very good friend, and she works at Garmin. So she hooked me up. She was like, "You got to get one of these watches." And I was like, "Okay." And I do. I love it. I really love it. And for running, it's really great. So I just like track all my stuff in that app now. Like I don't use any of the separate running apps because like I'm like I don't want to add something else to. I was like, let's keep it simple, and I'm just gonna use this Garmin app. So I love it. I didn't realize how much you could look into the running. There's like charts and stats and all this, which I was looking at last night. But anyway, that would be like gear I would highly suggest. So when I was training, obviously it was using my watch. I bought a new pair of shoes. I got Asics again just because they didn't do me wrong last time. Pro tip, I bought them a half size bigger than a tennis shoe I would normally wear because your feet swell up. And honestly, my feet feel completely fine. And during the race, they didn't really, I don't know, they hurt kind of at the end, but I think my whole body just kind of hurt at the end. So, but next time around, like shoe wise, I think I will probably like go to a shoe store and like where they fit it for you and like you run and they're like, okay, this would be the best type of shoe for you. Like I'm gonna step my game up a little bit next time. And I'll talk about that too. Um, Anyways, so I swear to you, the most I ran this time was 5 miles. And so it took me about an hour to run 5 miles. And then once I did that, that was in April, I was like, okay, I can run 5 miles. So a 10K would be too easy because I know that extra mile would be, like the 13 was way more of a challenge because I'm like, okay, this is kind of up in the air, but not really because I know I'm gonna do it. So yeah, and I remember the weekend. So obviously, like the weekend before, I wanted to do not like a crazy run, but I wanted to run, I don't know, like another 4 or 5 miles again. And yeah, I didn't end up running at all. Whoopsies. So the week before, I did a couple like 2 mile runs, nothing too crazy, and did cross training. So when we're getting closer to race day, and I was freaking out a little bit the weekend before. That's when I was like trying to look up podcasts about people talking about their half marathons. Well, mostly women, because no offense, but like our bodies are so different. Like, I don't really care what a dude has to do to train for a race because it's going to be probably different than a woman. So I didn't really find a whole lot of what I was looking for. I focused a lot that week on keeping hydrated. I didn't drink any alcohol at all. And I just honestly wanted to keep my body hydrated all week. And I like focused on trying to get like a good night's sleep, which I did not get a good night's sleep the night before the race, which is okay because we survived. I was a little anxious and I kept trying to fall asleep. And then I stayed with my cousin. So I don't know if I was just like, because I wasn't in my own bed. But that was the thing. It was nice to say closer to where the race was because otherwise I would have had to wake up early. I already woke up at 5 o'clock that morning, and the race was at 8. And we got there around, but I was up early just because like you get excited, and two, you just want to get like you just want to wake up and get moving. So the day before, again, focused on drinking lots of water. And I would also do like a liquid IV, or there's these thing called drip drops now too, which that's what I have in here. This was Body Armor at some point too, which I do like because I don't think Body Armor is too crazy with the stuff in it, at least. You got to be careful with some of those sports drinks because Yeah, sometimes they have crazy things in them. But if there are any that you're listening and you're like, oh, I really like this one, you should totally tell me what it is because I'm up for, like ones that are good for you. And yeah, lots of hydrating. And then I just was like, I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat for dinner. Like, I had a hamburger. I had lots of pasta salad and chippies and fruit and just like, I don't know. I probably ate a little more than I normally would. And like, yeah, made sure I had a bun, of course, with my hamburger because I want lots of carbs the day before or the night before. So it was it was good. And then I actually, according to my watch, I got poor sleep the night before. And like I said, I wasn't um at home, but the next morning I woke up, oh, and I just wanted to sleep a little bit longer. So I'd set my alarm a little earlier so that I could snooze it, but I turned the light on so it would be bright in the room because it was still dark out when I woke up. And it was really nice because my cousin, we had, she had got out stuff for like toast and coffee the night before because I think this is like a TMI, but if you run a half marathon, you have to know this. It's kind of important to try to take a crap before you run because you don't want to be doing that on like during the race. And I know we were joking about it so much, but I literally set an intention the night before. I was like, okay, like I'm kind of visualizing how the day would go and it was going to go so great. And I was like, okay, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to have a little coffee, get my little toast, get things going down there. And, it's going to be wonderful. We are going to clear our system, quote unquote, before the race. Yeah, that works. I think like visualizing and honestly setting intentions and just like knowing that your day and your race is going to go well. I want to also give a huge shout out to my sister-in-law and cousins that signed up with me, and it was really nice because we all rode down to the race together and got there together and had a little group chat going that I started in, I don't know, like March or maybe beginning of April, just to kind of cheer each other on. Yesterday, we were talking about like recovery stuff too, so that was nice. And I don't think I could have done it without them because I don't know, it was really good motivation. And then one of my cousins ran with me and we really um we needed each other, I think. So I'll explain a little more about that too. But okay, race day morning. So we're getting there about an hour early, which at first I was like, that seems kind of crazy and kind of like we'll be standing around a lot, but I think it's good just to you know, get there. And then, yeah, if you have to like go to the bathroom before the race, yeah, get all that out and just kind of get those jitters out a little bit too because the temperature was also in the lower 40s when we got there. So it was kind of cold, but the sun was out, but honestly, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful perfect day. And it was a little cold, but I was like, yeah, I'm not bringing a sweatshirt. I'm not doing that. So I do want to touch on what I actually used and wore. So I was going back and forth between what I was going to wear, but it came down till I knew I was going to wear leggings just because my thighs like to rub because, they touch each other. And I had run shorts on a week ago or so, or a couple, I don't know, maybe it was a week ago. And I was like, nope, this is not it. So I was like, okay, glad I did that because I know I'm not going to wear shorts at this point in my life. So wore leggings. I wore just a short sleeve t-shirt. And then I had my shoes, and I actually wore like a little fanny pack. So I never trained with it. Just was like, oh, it's gonna be fine. It's like small, a little small guy. I know they have those, my cousin had like this like belt too, like a race belt or something. I think my sister-in-law had that too. I don't know, but they seem kind of little. And I like shoved, I used the like GU energy packets. I had like 5 of those in my little satchel in my little, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm having a brain fart. My fanny pack. It's like I forgot what it's called already. So it was just nice to have things in there, just a little, just in case. And honestly, it didn't bother me at all. I didn't really notice it was there. And I am also really glad I had it because I ended up taking my shirt off and just running in my sports bra, which I was a little hesitant at first, but honestly, it felt just like so much better. Because my cousin had a longer sleeve shirt and then she had taken her shirt off too. And I was like, oh, that seems like a good idea. And then I'm like, oh. And I was like, oh, screw it, whatever. If it makes me more comfortable, then I need to do it. And it was like freeing. I was like, oh. And so I put my shirt, just like I hung it on my fanny pack, which worked really well. Like it didn't bother me at all either. That, like in the gear aspect, that all worked out. And I used all but one of like my GU packets too, which were very helpful. Oh my gosh. So, you get there and it's honestly for me, it's like super overwhelming. The morning like before we left the house and I was like doing my own little thing, I was just, like visualizing and setting intentions and like talking about how my day would go. And then like, always like doing my normal like energy protection things in the morning, just because also like very large group of people can kind of overwhelm me. And just like all the emotion, it happens all the time now when I'm in like really large groups of people and there's all sorts of emotions going on, I like start to cry. And it's just like I don't know. And I don't know if I was like always been like that, but and it's not like a sad cry. It's just like, oh my gosh, like this is such a cool experience. And I'm like just like welling up with all these emotions. And I was like standing there by my cousin at the race and I like felt my like eyeballs watering and I'm like, oh my gosh, are we gonna start soon? Because everyone's nervous. But we started a little bit after 8 and gosh, I'm not gonna lie, that first mile, I was like, why the hell did I sign up for that? I'm like, oh no. And it's not like, I don't think I actually hit that like runner's high till, I don't know if it was like mile 4 or 5. And then you like kind of feel like you're cruising. You're like, okay, this is what we're doing. We're just running. We're going. We're running. So I do not bring headphones. I personally don't like to run with them because I kind of like to take in the environment. I ran the first basically half of the half without any music, and I kind of like to chit chat. So it was kind of nice. Me and my cousin were kind of like chit chatting too, and it was such a beautiful morning. And the views were fun. It was like downtown Des Moines. There were some, yeah, just really cool. Like the route was really cool. It was really fun. And my cousin and I felt like I had to pee like the first mile in. And I told her, I was like, I'm really sorry. Like, I think we need to stop at a porta potty the next one we see. And she was so nice. She's like, oh, it's fine. Yeah. And I think it was like looking at my phone last night, I think it was like mile 2 or 3 we actually stopped because that's where the idle time was. But then we kept going and there were quite a few water stations along the way, which was great. And one station had like these little gummies and those were nice too. And it's like once we got like an hour in and you're like at mile 5, okay, this is good. And the pace we were running at was a little faster than I had trained when I started, running more again because I don't know, I barely ran last year. My son turned 1 last July, and I was still nursing. I was still pumping this time last year, which is crazy to me. It was like a memory a year ago, and it was like breast milk, and I was like, oh my God, like that really was that long ago if you think about it. But man, is your life, you just like your life has so much more time and like like not extra, what do I want to say? It's just like more space when you're not nursing and pumping and all that. But I would do it again. And so, yeah, with the pace, that's where I was going with this. The pace I had started at was more like in the 12-minute range. I was like, oh, like that's not great, but it's not terrible. Like at least I'm running. Um, so yesterday when we were running the marathon, the half marathon, it's funny, our pace would go. My cousin didn't have a watch on, so I told her, okay, I want to be the pace queen and I'm gonna pace us because we will burn out. We will burn out. So I noticed whenever we'd go past, if they had music or, lots of people cheering along the way, we would like speed up a little bit and we'd get down into like the tens and I was like, oh no, 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 whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, we gotta slow down. So we kept pretty solid between like it was like 11:15, 11:30, 11:45, kind of like I don't know, in that area is like what I was aiming for and what she was okay with too. And most of our miles were at that pace. Sorry, I was just gonna pull it up. And I know actually, my last mile was my fastest, which sometimes doesn't. My husband was like, that doesn't make sense. But I was like, no, it totally makes sense because I I wanted to be done. And then like I remember sprinting around the corner to the finish line. I was like, okay, so my average pace was 11 minutes and 51 seconds. And then my fancy Garmin app has like all this. Oh, it's got all this stuff. Shout out to Garmin. I'm not sponsored. But okay, so let's see. Because, oh, the laps. So yeah, it has like stats, laps, charts, your overview, and whatnot. So yeah, the paces were pretty good. You can tell when we stopped and used the bathroom, that was like a 13-minute pace. And then let's be real, once we got to mile 11 and 12, oh, I didn't think I was gonna make it. I remember literally thinking in my head, I was like, okay, this is not, we're done for. It's not gonna, good try. But I told my cousin, I was like, you can keep going, seriously. But I was like, I have to walk. So yeah, we've got like a 12:38 and 13-minute mile in there. And I was like, oh my gosh. So we walked for about a quarter of a mile. And honestly, I didn't want to because, like when you stop running and start walking, it's really hard to start up again. But I knew that I couldn't have kept running at that point. So I just had to do a little tiny break. And so we had a little tiny break. And then, yeah, my last mile was 10 minutes and 57 seconds by the time we got, up and around the corner. And oh my gosh, I was so my goal and I based this on like my average run time. My goal was about 12 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes. And then I was kind of just laughing and I was like, well, definitely under 3 because wasn't sure if I would walk or how that would go or whatever. So my cousin, we were at mile 10 and she was like, if we keep running like this, we're going to get about 2 hours and 30 minutes. And I was like, shut up, really? No way. And then mile 11 came and she was rough. 11, 12, ooh, they got us. But that was okay because we finished. She was ahead of me, but my final time was like 2 hours and 35 minutes. And I was shocked. If I had beat what I was aiming to get by 10 minutes and oh, just so, I don't know, just like the feeling that um came over me. I don't know, it was really cool. It was really fun. It was a really cool race. Like I highly recommend this race. It's always at the beginning of May. I already sent out an email saying the 2026 then save the date. And I'm like, I don't know, I might. I'm honestly thinking about it. I probably will because I think it's their 10-year anniversary. So I'm like, that's kind of cool. And so yeah, my sister-in-law and other cousin did really good. They were about 2 hours and 5 and 6 minutes. And I I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, like you totally could get under 2 hours. And so me now, like my goal is to get under 2 hours and 30 minutes. And then I was like, maybe someday I'll be a sub 2 hour girly. I don't know. We'll see. But it's just a fun, for me at least, it's fun to have the challenge. And as I said in the beginning, it's a metaphor for life because I mean, if you're scared of doing it, you will never know like how you would actually do. And who cares if you walk? It's like everyone's race is different too. Some people are gonna, yeah, have that really quick pace. And some people are gonna maybe run, walk. Maybe that's their thing. Maybe that's what they're more comfortable with. And maybe some people trained a hell of a lot more, and maybe some people train like me and not great, and just like everyone's approach is different, but the end result was the same in that we finished, obviously different times and everything, but we all finished the race. I mean, I don't know if every single participant finished, but I would assume the majority did. So it's just like life. If you don't start and you're scared of failing or you're scared of what other people are going to think of you and you don't do it, and deep down you do want to try, just do it. Just try. Because who knows, whatever that thing is, you could really like it. Or if you don't like it, if, for instance, like, yeah, with like the running, if you run a race and you're like, this shit isn't for me, now you know. Or maybe you already know and you're like very stuck on you would never try that. But even if you didn't want to run 13 miles, they have 5Ks, they have 10Ks. They're not as long. And me, everyone talks about not everyone, like runners talk about like running marathons and stuff. And that running twice of what I did yesterday, to me at this point in time, this version of Kayleen does not sound good. But like I said, who knows? That could definitely change because moving forward, so like what I would do differently next time, which let's be honest, I'm probably just going to sign up for next year because I'm going to put it out in the universe now. Because I do have like my brain is going on like what I would do differently next time. Honestly, I could not like train all year, but if I continue to run, so like I was kind of talking it out last night, but if I continue just to run and maybe work on my pace and get a little faster, I don't have to go out there and run 10 miles if I don't want to. Like I could have a long run on a Saturday if I'm really feeling it, or I could, just run 5 to 10 miles a week and just keep the consistency up and become better at it and keep up with like the cross training. And I've been doing more weights recently too, but like I scaled back on that because I was nervous about the running. So was doing that once a week. And now I can pick that back up to like 2 or 3 times a week, depending on like where my runs are at and things like that. But it's like, okay, now I have like a whole year. I can really continue to like lightly train. And then, the beginning of next year, like, okay, I could actually, get into it more, run a little farther, and get my body ready for that. And yeah, I'm sure I will beat my time. If I do things like that, I know I will beat my time, and I know I'd get under 2 hours and 30 minutes if I took those right actions. And so like it's like this is like with anything in life too. It's like, okay, I'm figuring out what I could have done better. Like I did the thing. I was thrilled with the results, but then I also can challenge myself to do a little bit better, quote, better. And then maybe it wouldn't be as hard for me the next time too if my training's a little bit different. Maybe I don't get to mile 11 and want to fall down. Maybe I just, am running the entire thing without having to walk at all, which would be, obviously would help with that time as well. And maybe peeing before the race once more. Yeah, might have just been like nervous too. But those are the things that like I'm going to do differently the next time around. And honestly, with recovery too, I think that's like good to touch on. The things I was reading was to do more of like a passive recovery, like the day you run, a couple days after, lots of like rest and sleep. And then, a few days later, once you are feeling better, you could start to incorporate, maybe some longer walks or cross training or whatever, but suggesting not to run for an entire week afterwards, which I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. I had fucking 30,000 steps yesterday. So I'm not doing a whole lot today, which is kind of fun. But I can do things like this because I'm sitting here. And the other thing I did, which I think really helped, I didn't want to do it, but my husband was like, you should do it. And I was like, meh, meh. But like an ice bath. So if you're picturing like a bunch of ice cubes in the bath, that's not what I did. I had a cup of ice cubes. If I could call it an ice bath. Well, I just put like the water on freezing, like, just filling up your tub like normal, but your water's cold and making sure it like covers at least like your legs, like in your lower half of your body, and just sitting down. Like, I'm not freaking submerging everything. No thanks. And I dumped some ice in there to make it an ice bath. But I was like, my kids were sleeping and I was like, like I wanted to scream. But once you sat in there, the initial shock is like, ugh, terrible. But if you don't like move your legs at all. But if you like sit in there just for like, it was like a couple minutes, and obviously my legs kind of went numb and stuff, but it's really supposed to help with like swelling. Honestly, like I don't feel as bad as I thought I would. I was getting a little sore yesterday, like maybe a lot sore. Honestly, I was in the car quite a bit too. Side note, I showed a house yesterday. Oh my gosh. Okay. When I say yesterday, this has no, like, it's not going to help you at all because you could be watching this Saturday. The day I ran the race, I also showed a house that was about 30 minutes away from my own. So I was probably in the car a little too much. I won't do that next time, but it was all good. I had a good feeling about it and it went well. So that's why I did it. And then I knew I thought I was going to hurt worse today. And I don't, the day after the race, I'll get it. But I honestly don't feel as bad. I've done some light stretching this morning, but I plan on doing some more like really like holding some deep stretches and stuff. And oh, I also had 4 ibuprofen yesterday and like a lot more fluid because I was getting a slight headache too. And my body just felt a little crazy. And I'm not a big medicine girly. Don't usually take it. Yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm going to pop 4 of these bad boys and we should feel a little better. And I did. So, and honestly, I don't feel, for the day after the race, I feel a lot better than I thought I would. So, this has been a very long episode about running and how it has to do with life a little bit. Correlate that at least into it as well. It was a magical day, and I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I had my little racing team with me. Even if we all didn't run together during the race, I mean, leading up to it and afterwards, it was so great. They also have free wine vouchers after the race. I would recommend not drinking the whole glass of, because it was big. I was kind of shocked. I think it was like 16 ounces. It was a big cup. Well, we got sangria, which was delicious. But then I was like, oh, I kind of like it was like too much sugar all at once. And I was like, this isn't great. But And I did have a water right after the race too. I remember grabbing my medal and then like grabbing a water, and like my cousin was there giving her a high five, and it's almost like you're kind of like, what's going on? There's a lot of people. It was good though. It was fun. It honestly, you can make a weekend out of it too. There's so many activities on Saturday and like Sunday, and thinking maybe to make a weekend out of it next year. Oh, but I wanted to read this cute little tag that was on my thing as well. It says, run bold, I can't read, break boundaries. Every step is powerful. Every mile is a testament of your strength. Don't forget, limits are just starting lines. Limits are just starting lines. That can be anything in your life, not just running. Limits are just starting lines. I love that. I hope you take that with you. I hope if you're listening this far, hopefully you can take some tidbits from it, even if you are not a runner girly or have any interest in it. Last but not least, I gotta show off the hardware. This was the cutie medal we got yesterday. It was really cool. And this is my third one. So third medal, second half. Had a 10K in there, so. Oh, and yesterday was my fastest 10K too. Guess what the time was, guys? You should probably already know. This is Aligned with Kayleen, my mystical magical podcast. And of course, my new 10K time was 1 hour and 11 minutes. Fun. So yeah, I shaved that by 20 minutes too, compared to 2022. Fun times. We're just having a grand old time. So again, thank you for listening. Any tips or tricks if you are a fellow runner? Love to hear them. Otherwise, thank you again for listening and or watching, and we'll be back with more magical, mystical content next week. See you later.